Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. I'm not sure what I'm calling it, but this has to do with when we're doubting whether something works, whether a certain technique works, whether we're maybe crazy, maybe we hear all these people saying it's success, but then when we try it, maybe we're not having so much of the same experience. Why is that? Why do some people talk about certain things and they sound like they're freaking nuts, but yet it's, quote, working for them? And so it deals with that component of, is this law of attraction stuff snake oil, essentially? Is this something crazy? Is this some sort of remedy that you're trying to sell me, like spraying Windex on something and that's supposed to make it go away, or Vicks Vapor Rub makes all your woes better? Like, is it one of those scenarios, or is it maybe there's something kind of to how these different techniques play out, how they get sold to us, how we believe them, and really the mechanics of how law of attraction in general works. So it was me researching for a different show topic, basically, and I came across this technique that I had remembered someone asking me, hey, can you do a show on this? And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh my God, that's that show someone had asked me about eons ago. And so I started reading into it, and I'm like, oh, this is very interesting, very interesting. And I get a little further down, and I'm like, oh. So it was that made me realize, oh, okay, so there's times where maybe something is a little different, off, not believable. Maybe it works for a few, but most people it doesn't. And that's what this one fell into. But I instantly realized, okay, well, if something works for you, even though if you fall into a 5% category of all the people, and it works for you, and I walk up to you and I say, well, this technique is ridiculous. This doesn't work for 95% of the people. And you're like, I don't care what you say, Dan, you're wrong. It works for me. And it's like, well, you'd be correct. But if I walked up to the 95% of the people and said, oh my God, you totally need to keep trying this because this works for 5% of the people, they'd be like, well, that's stupid. Why would I do that? So you run into this place where, why is that, I guess? Why is 5% of the population it working for and 95% of us it doesn't? Or fill in percentage difference here, right? 45, 55, whatever. And it made me think about one of the coolest aspects of law of attraction. I thought it illustrated it beautifully. I talk about frequently how manifestation occurs. Everyone talks about it. I'm not like the only one doing it, but what you think, what you say, what you do, that's kind of your focus, right? Focus-based universe. So whatever I'm looking at, thinking, feeling, talking about, doing, whatever, I am putting energy towards, and I am thusly creating outcomes in my future days based off of what I'm doing, thinking, and saying right now. But the component that really, really makes a huge difference that a lot of people either don't notice, don't pay attention to, maybe downplay, but I think, unfortunately, it's probably one of the most important aspects of how manifesting or creation works. I don't just say it's all law of attraction because I think that's the part that it's more attractive, but I think the aspect of creating is larger than just law of attraction. I think law of attraction is a component of creation, not that creation is law of attraction. I don't think that's true. I think it's the other way around, right? Component of creation is law of attraction. So where I feel like this comes into play is the belief cycle, like I was talking about. And beliefs are extremely powerful. You can believe something very, very strongly and actually have it seem to be true for you. Now, there are certain laws of nature that you may not be able to do in front of people for sure. I think that's a big difference, by the way, because you can do crazy stuff in your own mind and sometimes may seem even real to you, though you may be hallucinating, but to you at the moment it is real, right? So it's whether or not, I think sometimes someone perceives you doing something like walking on water, for example. There's a very prime thing that supposedly you should be able to do, but most of us in this physical world find it very challenging. We tend to fall right blink through the water. So, okay, I get, it's got a surface tension. And if I was mind over matter better than I am, I should be able to theoretically, right? But there's that whole belief structure. Now, whether I actually finally reach a point in my life before I die that I was able to walk on water, being able to do it in my own bathtub with no one watching versus me being able to do it on a lake with 1,000 people watching are two very, very, very different things. It's a totally different show, but I just want to say from the standpoint of belief can be a very powerful thing. when you're affecting other people's beliefs without their permission, you start to get into some laws of universe that don't like that to happen per se. So the concept of snake oil, the concept of someone coming into town and saying, hey, rub some of this oil all over that wound and it'll fix it. Hey, put some of this on your teeth and it'll make them clean. Hey, put some of this oil on your butt and it won't hurt anymore, or whatever, right? Whatever your thing is, whatever your ailment is, this oil will fix it, right? Like, and that's what snake oil kind of was. So the reason it works for some and not for others is the belief. It's the concept of, I'm drawing a blank, unfortunately, but double-blind studies, placebo effect. Thank you for whoever was just thinking it along with me. It's the placebo effect. It's the concept where when they do double and triple-blind studies, they actually give people pills, don't know if it's got medicine in it or not, and the person handing you the little Dixie cup with the pills in it, they don't know whether it's medicine or not. So the person's energy handing you the pills can't possibly affect your experience of it. And the person that handed the dude, he probably not going to carry that energy. I don't know. You could even go further and say, all right, well, that person doesn't know what pills are which. He's just filling up a Dixie cup, handing it to a guy with a tray. He's walking out to a patient, right? Nobody knows what the hell's going on. Yet, people will take the placebo, meaning a sugar pill, a pill with nothing in it, empty, just vegetable starch, so it's a pill, but it tastes like a pill, it looks like a pill, swallows like a pill, has absolutely zero medicine in it. And yet, they still oddly get a benefit. Why? There's nothing in the pill. It's not the pill at all. But what it is the belief of the pill. The belief that by thinking this thing will heal me, and then I somehow became healed, the pill didn't do it, but you believe it, so it did. Well, let me ask you this. If that's the case, and now all of a sudden you're better, even though you took a placebo, does that make it wrong? Does it make it something that shouldn't happen? I mean, you got the benefit of getting healed by something that shouldn't have healed you. So in your case, it probably was in the mind to some degree. Well, it was totally in the mind. But it shows the power of belief. And it shows that something doesn't necessarily have to be the fix. It doesn't necessarily have to be scientifically provable. It doesn't necessarily have to be legitimate for all people. In fact, it will work for few people. But oddly, that placebo seems to work. So belief obviously comes into play. So one of the questions I ask about these techniques, the snake oil ones, and at the end of this, I will share the one that I think was interesting, and I'll talk about it for a few. But for those of you that really might be damaged to find out, I think weirdly of something that maybe you've done. So I'll give you a heads up, and then you can stop the video because I don't want to ruin it for you. Because again, it's one of those things where if it's enhancing your belief, if it's causing you to say, yes, this works, this is great, this is going to happen. Now, again, if it's behind a paywall, if you're paying money for it, I would be very leery because I'll be honest with you, pretty much anything that's out there that can teach you how to do this is probably free. I almost guarantee you it's free. So if someone's trying to charge you for it, I mean, if it's advice, that's a different story. You're asking for someone's time, that's different. But if it's an issue of just something that they basically are going to give you access to a website and you're just going to read something that was typed out already, right? Kind of like, here, you go watch my video I recorded 1.5 years ago, but before you do, give me a nickel, right? Like nah, man, I recorded that thing. The labor's done, right? Now, unless you're asking me to transcribe it and send you an email of everything, right, that's a lot of work, but different story. So, again, obviously getting off, but if it's causing your belief to be stronger, there's something to it. Whether your friend thinks you're crazy, whether your friend's doing it with you, it doesn't much matter. It matters where you're at in your mind. Now, also, one of the other key things that I think is very important that these techniques will bring, even this one that I don't necessarily think is right, at the same time, it's working for some people. And I can tell you why, and we can chat about that for sure. But it's not going to work for most people, probably. And I know I'm going to get some some weigh-ins on both sides of this. Some maybe that are like devout into it, and it works awesome. And I know it does, and I bet it will. For some people, this thing is the best thing since sliced bread. But for a lot of people, they're going to go, this is crap. And I paid $200 to get through some lady's website. By the way, it was a really cool website. Like, I was scrolling through it, and then I finally saw it. I was waiting for the button. I'm like, where's the button? Where's the pay me now button? Where's the, if you would like this, click here. And I'm like, come on, that button's somewhere. And I saw it. And I was like, ha, 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 ha. Beautiful. And it was well done. She makes money on this site. I'm sure of it. It was well done. And people, when we want something badly, right, we've almost got a hair of desperation sometimes, don't we? It's almost like anybody could walk up and say anything, but as long as it involved a promise that I could have what I want, I'd sell my soul to the devil. And that's where a lot of this snake oil is dangerous. So I think there's something to be discussed about that too. I think a lot of us, I mean, again, if I'm asking you to pay for it, depends if it's time, if it's someone's effort, if it's a book, maybe, right? Because there is fees to that, but also there's a component to where, or making a music CD. Like, if I spent the money, but I'm able to sell like hundreds of thousands of these over time, well, yeah, I'd still like you to pay for it. I mean, that's only fair. But, to ask someone to pay $50 for a CD when you know darn well it costs them $2 at best to make it and ship it. Come on, man. That's not cool. So there's a balance to everything. I guess kind of one of the last things I want to cover on this component, and I'm talking about why I think it's difficult with the paywall kind of issue where they make you pay for it, where they tease you with all this information, like, if you could only, and I know I'm teasing the thing, but I don't want to upset people that know it, right? For those of you that are like, yeah, but you're not telling me the one you don't like. I know, and I'm sorry. You can go towards the end of the video, and I'll probably tell you there. But, like, I don't want to ruin it for people that it is working for. And that's what my point is, kind of. Like, where's the responsibility in that? As a coach, that's what a lot of us remind people is anything's possible, right? So if for me to suddenly say, no, this doesn't work, not very cool. But what this reminds me of is to say, in order to be a good manifester, you need to get healed by Reiki. You need a Reiki healing. I'm just using Reiki as an example. It's kind of popular. And so you need to find a Reiki healer. I'll do it for you, of course. But, I mean, you can look for others. I'm not desperate for work, even though I am, right? Right? Bring your Reiki to me, and I'll heal you. And once you've done that, you'll now be able to manifest, because I can tell you all sorts of people that I've talked to that hadn't manifested what they were trying to manifest, came to me and got a Reiki healing, and then you know what? They managed to manifest what they were after. Now, granted, the reality of it is, if the Reiki healing never happened, they probably still would have manifested it, but doesn't matter. Those people believe that Reiki healing opened up their ability to manifest. It freed those blockages, whatever they were. Maybe there was some sort of etheric parasite or something fun like that, right? Something crazy, some sort of Star Trek-y thing. So they cleared that out. They got you cleared up and all rubbed out and swished away and all the stuff they do in Reiki. It's pretty cool. It's fun. I've kind of had a couple. I've got a lot of friends that are into this stuff. So I don't do it as much, whatever. But it's like saying you need that Reiki healing, and then because I got it, now all of a sudden I manifested everything. And that's what I believe. That's what happened in my mind. But to an outsider, you're like, you probably would have manifested that anyways. What the Reiki thing didn't matter. I didn't take you there. And I agree. I don't think a Reiki healing, and no offense to Reiki, I got, like I said, friends, and I'm really into healings. Healings are awesome. I think it's really a good thing to do from time to time, and don't get me onto that topic right now. But I don't think manifesting requires a Reiki healing. Now, granted, this is a made-up example, but still, go with me for a second. Some people would say it does. Some, I would pretty much say, no, it doesn't. Got other things that are probably at work. Much like this technique. There's other things probably at work. For those that it does work for, and for those it doesn't, not surprised. The sheer point of this is to really illustrate the power of our beliefs. If you don't believe in what you're doing, you're not going to be able to accomplish it. If you don't believe in what you're trying to go for, you're not going to get it. If you don't believe in the job you're going for or in your abilities. If you're trying to get into the Olympics, but you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to get there. The difference between successful people and non-successful people is the belief in that they're going to accomplish this. There is no if, ands, or buts. I'm going to accomplish that. If it's an issue of getting someone's attention, special person, I'm going to get their attention. I'm going to get into a conversation with them. No problem there. From there, all right, well, now it's an interview process. We'll see. But I'm going to at least get myself that far for sure. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter if they're famous. Doesn't matter who they are. I'm going to at least get a face-to-face with you. Yeah, maybe it's a Skype meeting. Who knows? But I'll do it. And it's that no matter what, that creates the success. There's techniques that get us there. There's techniques that help. There's techniques that are meant to get your mindset behind the whole manifestation process. But ultimately, it's determination. It's the feeling of it. It's living it. Living in the end's kind of out there too, but it's still that it's the power of this is what I'm going to experience. It's not a universe, will you give me? It's like, no, universe, this give me. No, will, no. Yes, this is what I want. And then if we want to throw caveats in it to be good, be like, if it's good for all involved. I've done shows on that way back when. So the technique that gets you more in touch with your intuition, more in touch with your feelings, that gets you to try some benefit, that maybe gets you out walking outside, doing some form of exercise, talking differently, writing stuff. Like, it's a different technique that some people could look at and go, dude, you're crazy. Writing what you want down doesn't do anything. And then there's the other side that says, my God, it gets you thinking about it. It creates this whole process. It creates something real that you can see. Even with this pen, it's got a smell to the ink. Like when I write with it, I can smell the ink. And it's just part of the experience. Pencil's another one. I got an awesome mechanical pencil that I love writing with. It's me. It's a tactile thing. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm old. I don't know. But it's one of those things that helps me feel like I'm in touch with this thing I'm physically creating. I'm physically writing it out. Maybe I'm drawing. Maybe I'm doing a poem about it. Whatever. If it works for you, if you believe it has power, if you believe it makes a difference, it will. Where you can get yourself in trouble is sharing it with people that don't believe that. And again, I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. That's not my point. What I'm saying is what you believe truly matters. And what they believe can alter your beliefs. Maybe your beliefs need to be altered. I don't know. Maybe your friend's truly looking out for you. Maybe you are crazy. But strong chance you've got the courage to try something that a lot of people don't. You've got the courage to actually try to pay attention to what you're thinking, feeling, and doing while you're interacting in life. You've got the strength to realize that I probably play a larger role in what I experience in my life than what a lot of people would suggest. You've got the courage to live that way. You don't need to tell people that. They really don't. They can ask you at some point, wow, how have you accomplished these things? That's really awesome. And you can be like, look, here's what I do. Successful people have talked about it before, athletes and everything else. They don't go, oh, it's law of attraction. They don't say that. Or almost hardly ever. But they talk about how they're focused, how they were committed, how they didn't give up, how they kept at it. Law of attraction follows a lot of that. And it pretty much mirrors it. But they don't call it law of attraction. They call it something else. They don't call it certain techniques. Maybe they do something else. It's all relative. What works for you is what works for you. That's why I've so frequently talked about what's the best technique? The best technique's the technique that works for you. And you know what? If what works best for you is someone that doesn't believe law of attraction, I'd probably suggest maybe like a Michael Jordan book, or right, or some of the other famous people. Drawing a blank off the top of my head. Some of these guys that depends what you're trying to accomplish too. What are they successful at? Someone's written a book about it, I'm sure, that has actually done it amazingly. If you're into dating and you want to know how to meet women, Wilt Chamberlain, my God, he was precariously fun with a lot of people. Yeah. Anyway, these things make a difference. If we take advantage of what the concepts are, like understanding the basic backbone of manifesting helps you understand what the technique is. All right, so here's for the people that are sensitive about it. The technique was the tapping method. So, and for those of you that love it, like I said, I can see a lot to it. I can see why, but I think there's a lot of components to it that tend to cause aspects of this to be challenging. One example, just for those of you that don't know what the tapping method is, I guess, and it got me thinking in a totally different direction, but I think it has to do with, like, there's a spot, and I want to say it looked like it was on the left wrist or whatever, and if you tap it and then kind of think about like whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, that the very act of doing this will actually kind of sends these signals through the little energy point, right, on your body. It's kind of like the little the pin things. I'm drawing blanks on. It's horrible. Anyway, you keep tapping on it, and you will. It's so on the tip of my brain, it kills me. Anyway, you keep doing it while you're thinking of the thing, and it will send you like an emotional calm. Like, right, it'll help you feel better about it. So it's kind of a thing where you just kind of keep tapping, and then you kind of think about the thing that you really want. Well, these little energy points that we tend to put pins in. You guys know the word. I'm drawing a blank still. It's awesome because it'll stop me if I keep thinking about it. But when we do that, one, these things are very, very specifically located. So to hit it exactly where it's at is, okay, a challenge in and of itself. Outside of that, like what I see a lot of the benefit of is it gets you thinking about things, and it kind of gets you doing something that takes your mind off why it scares you, right? And if someone tells you that this is calming by tapping on this and you believe that, then yeah, you're going to get that kind of calming effect from tapping on your wrist while you're thinking about things. So the tapping technique can be very, very effective for many people. But at the same time, I'll bet you gobs of money, there's all sorts of people that are like, dude, I did it for like weeks, right? And I never got any mojo out of this magic. I'll tell you that much, right? It's like, right, and that's, I get it. And my point of the whole video was, do you go out and tell people that tapping is a bad idea? Or do you tell people, hey, tapping's a great idea. Anything works. Everything's possible. Or do you do a video to talk about why sometimes it works for some people and sometimes it doesn't? I opted for that third choice. Tapping seems cool. And some of these techniques, generally, if I don't like the technique, I'll tell you I don't like the technique. Usually what I do is I talk about the components of the technique and why I think it's a great idea. And I think there's a lot of wonderful techniques out there. This one, especially when I saw a paywall to get to it, I was like, oh, this is like, because you already feel it like creeping in on your desperation, like it's hitting you up with all those, do you ever sometimes feel angry? Do you ever sometimes feel like someone just kicked a puppy in front of you? Like, you're like, yeah. And so how much do I got to pay to find out the answer to why I feel like this? That's so jacked. I hate it. Anyway. Thumping. Hang on, let me thump a little bit. I feel so much better already. Thanks, guys. It's Dan Radio Style.